Hey guys, and welcome to Pizza Plus Coffee Equals Code. Our episode this week is featuring Sebastian Küpper from Diplodocus Games. How you doing?
Fine, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good. We have you on because you have just released, or just patched today, in fact, Keen Dreams Definitive Edition for the Switch. And we'll talk about some of the other games in the studio as well throughout the episode. But just to start off with Keen Dreams, how did it come about? Did you guys get approached? Did you guys go out and try and find this opportunity?
Well, we were working on a game for the Wii U, and it was finished. And the guy who has the rights to Keen Dreams was also on the Nintendo forums, and yeah, he saw that we were still working on Wii U games. And initially, he was interested in finding someone to port Keen Dreams to Wii U and 3DS. And there were not many people doing Wii U at the time anymore, so he asked me. And yeah, my wife is also on the team, helped a bit, but mainly then for this project, it was just me from our studio who did the porting. Yeah, and then during the project, basically new ideas came up. We discussed what the right situation actually is, and then we came up with a definitive edition.
Because I guess slightly different to most remasters that you expect to see, you guys actually added content. So what was it like to add content to something that already existed? Did you have to be careful to match what was already there, or were you sort of free to do whatever you'd like?
There are limitations to what we can do with Keen Dreams because of the licensing agreement. The interesting thing is Bethesda actually owns Commander Keen and also the games 1 to 6. And then there's Keen Dreams, which was developed between part 3 and 4. And there's a different rights holder for that. And he owns the whole Keen Dreams IP, but there are limits to what we can add. So basically, we could add no additional visual elements. We could just use what was there, but we could rearrange. So we really had to make sure that all our level design ideas worked with the elements that existed in the original game. Also, of course, we wanted to match the tone and type of level design that Commander Keen has. So yes, it was trying to basically adopt to what was there, but also to give it a fresh touch.
So you guys have also done original games. Coming into something like Keen Dreams, was there a sense of pressure knowing that there was people who enjoyed the original and were going to be I guess comparing it to that or scrutinizing it like that?
Absolutely, yes, because I'm a keen fan from childhood as well. And you see, if you're a fan for something for 20 years for a franchise, then the franchise is on hiatus, so there was nothing new since 2000 with the Game Boy Color release. Then you quickly have people with diverting opinions of how this game series should progress, what is essential to the game, what should be changed, and what could be changed. And in particular, with Keen Dreams, I was a bit worried about one thing. I think that the game structure, the original game structure, had some weaknesses to it. And we had some heavy discussions which parts of the original game structure to change. So it's not just additional content. We also changed how to progress in the game. And this is, of course, something where we were a bit worried how fans would react to that, because it really changes the basics of the game.
And have you noticed since you released it, like I noticed the patch notes and stuff are all on Twitter, pretty open with the community. Have you noticed that they've embraced it or been constructive with their feedback?
I think most people were pretty constructive. There was one issue that was a bit, yeah, not so nice, because when we adopted the game to 60 FPS, so when I adopted the game to 60 FPS, I reused mostly the code from the original game for the physics to make sure that everything plays like the original. And also I used the exact jumping physics from the original. but there needed to be some scaling because the original did not run to 60 FPS, but at a lower frame rate. And there was an error in the scaling for the jump. So the jump originally was a bit too floaty. So it was a bit wider than it was in the original game. So then people showed me the difference, and I looked at the code again. I found what the issue was, and now the fix is online. I think most people were really constructive and helpful. Some people also, really then went on being pretty, nasty in their comments. But I think, it's fair. It's a game they care about, and then if something is not right, then it's totally fine if people also complain with a bit harsher language. I think one should be able to deal with that.
So, moving away from Keen Dreams, how did Diplodocus Games come about?
The original thing is that a good friend of mine and I, as children, we always wanted to do a 3D platformer. So since Super Mario 64, we were always really, fascinated of this, and we always had ideas how to make a 3D platformer, but not the means. And in particular, we are console focused. So for a long time, for individuals, there was no chance to even make a console game. And then Nintendo opened up with the Wii U and also had the Unity engine supported fairly early on without any additional cost. And so we sat together and said, let's try to do it, make a 3D platformer. And this is really how it started. My best friend, my wife, and the cousin of my best friend, we started to work on this game together, and it took many years. So in the end, it released when the Wii was already basically dead. But luckily, we got a Switch license later on and could port the game Regina Mac then to Nintendo Switch.
So did you always, you talk about wanting to make a 3D platformer. Did you find, I guess, the first step of, well, let's do it, and actually starting coding the hardest step, or was that a bit easier?
My profession is that I am a computer scientist, so the programming part is not the most difficult thing. But the difficult thing really is to find a way to express the creative ideas you have in the for the level design and make it match with the gameplay. So you have systems and you need to adjust basically the systems and the level design. And in a 3D world, you have many details you have to look for to really catch it correctly. And so, I think the most difficult part actually was the level design for all of us, because this is really what makes and breaks a 3D platformer. So besides the mechanics themselves. So these two parts are what is the most important thing, but the mechanics you can program, try, modify freely at the beginning, but the level design is a bit more difficult because you also get better at it, and then you don't easily see how a new player will engage with the level without any prior knowledge of the level.
So Regina and Mac, as you said, came out on the Wii U. You guys have ported it to the Switch. Have you seen a lot of people picking it up for the Switch and trying it out who may not have played it on the Wii U?
So it sold better on Switch than on the Wii U. So I think there must be quite a few people who bought it on Switch, but not on Wii U. But it is a very small game. So it's not like it's a huge hit, but it is like we have some audience. We're happy about that, and the Switch certainly widened the audience compared to before, where it was on Xbox, Wii U, and PC.
So you have this dream or this plan to make this 3D platformer. You finally make it a reality and you start seeing people play it. What's the feeling there? Is it just joy or happiness when you see people playing it?
So the first thing was actually a bit anxiety because, well, we made what we wanted, but I think everyone who makes a game makes it in basically the way they want. And then the audience will react to it, and some may like it, some may not like it, and some games really make people quite furious, actually. So we were anxious and respectfully waiting how the reactions were, but actually we were quickly pretty happy when we saw people play the game, talk about the game, and see how they basically saw the levels as we hoped they would. So some people really explored it and saw things as we thought. Hopefully that people will see it like this and will explore this like this. And if you see gameplay videos, you can sometimes really see that this idea really worked, and then it was what we were really happy that this worked out in this way.
Did you have any inspirations, obviously coming from loving those classic 3D platformers? I imagine you played a bunch of them, but ones that sort of shaped the way Regina and Mac ended up working?
Yeah, I think the first and obvious example is Banjo-Kazooie, because the main game structure with the 9 worlds, with 10 main collectibles and 100 small collectibles per world, is basically Banjo-Kazooie. And also the music is pretty similar. But I think we did a tiny mistake in pronouncing the Banjo-Kazooie inspiration a lot, because actually the gameplay is quite a bit different to Banjo-Kazooie, because we try to go for a more skill-based platforming style, so more difficult jumps and less like lovable worlds. So this is a difference. So we also had a bit of Super Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot inspirations in this to really more point toward the exact jumping. So this was something that is not so much an issue in Banjo-Kazooie, but in Super Mario, Crash Bandicoot, and in some small portions also Sonic is a bit in there.
You guys have also helped port a few other games. Where do you see yourself guys going forward with Diplodocus Games? Are you expecting to just continue working on the games that are out, doing some more ports, or trying another original game?
So if there are games that really are dear to our heart, then we would like to port them as well. So Macbeth 64, which is coming soon, is something we ported because we really liked the style, we liked the gameplay, and one has to say that Marcus von Schreckter is a really excellent guy to work with and a really nice person. So if there's anything he works on and likes to have on Switch, this will always be a priority to work with him on that. But we also have ideas for new games, which will not be 3D platformers. So we are actually thinking about making an F-Zero style racing game, which should be our next main project, but which will also be, it will take some time, because we will write a new sub-engine in Unity to really make a good racing game. And so this will be a bit off. We may do 1 or 2 ports in between, especially if Siactro comes up with something, then we will always be ready.
For people who want to start looking at getting into doing game development and heading down that path, do you have any advice to them, maybe specifically about Unity or just in general the business?
Well, it is about the business. I cannot say that much because we don't have a publisher. We are working independently, and so the business side is not something we are that much concerned with. And doing it as a main job, I think, is pretty tough because you have a long time to develop a game with many uncertainties, and where does the money come from at that time? So one thing I can really say is first think about what is really the most important thing for you in a game and in your project, and what are your talents. So what can you really focus on to make it really shine? For us, it really was the first major thing was we spent almost a year on perfecting, from our perspective, the game feel and response of the characters. Some may also have different priorities. Basically, some people, for instance, can write excellent stories or something. So really think about what are your talents before starting with the game, and really focus on what you think you can really not just do in an okay way, but what do you think you can do in a way that other people think, oh, this is really interesting. This is not like all the other games I have played.
The name of the podcast is Pizza Plus Coffee Equals Code. But for you, those late nights, you're working hard, you're trying to get some code out. What fuels those nights for you?
Oh, pizza was actually involved a lot. So when I met with my best friend and we worked together on designing, so the program was just me, but we both designed and play tested. So my friend helped, for instance, especially with the level design. Then we were always discussing, small design parts while having a pizza and really playing the same parts hundreds of times, changing little things. And I think the discussions are really the thing that stays most in your mind. You sometimes discuss about something that a player will only play for 10 seconds, but you discuss for it for a whole evening about the placement of just one or two platforms, and if you make it a bit easier, a bit harder, and all these detailed discussions are really something that stays with you also long after development has finished.
Sweet. Well, thanks a lot for taking time out of your day to have a chat to us.
Thank you for having us.
And if people want to play Regina and Mac Keen Dreams or hear more about your studio, do you have social media or website links that they can head to?
Yes, so we are active on Twitter under the name Diplodocus Games, written together. And we also have a website, diplodocus-games.de, which will update soon to feature all the projects that will be available for Switch, probably until early October.
Well, have a good evening, and we'll hope to hear more coming out.
Yeah, I hope we can speak again at a later time.